Hello, everyone, and welcome to episode 35 of The Roots Report. I am Daniel Poulter, your Bay Area beat writer covering the Oakland Roots, the San Jose Earthquakes, and as well, Cal football. Was at Cal Media Day this past Tuesday. A lot of exciting coverage and more things to come, as well as hopefully some 49ers, Warriors, and even more Bay Area sports. I'm excited to bring it to you guys. What you want, when you want it. I'm excited. Let's talk about our only slightly dumpster fire, Oakland Roots. But first, let me hold that hand. Hold it up. Hold it. We got to hit that sounder. Roots got a point. 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 For the first time in 47 days, you heard me correctly, 47 days, the Oakland Roots have gained a point. Woo! Golf clap, everyone. Oakland Roots, good job. The Oakland Roots have picked up a point in game time, 108 degrees, Las Vegas, in a game that both teams really wanted to win, and both go home slightly disappointed. A point is a point. You will never turn down a point in the USL because this league is such chaos incarnate. 37 points gets you in the playoffs. We'll talk about everything, the ramifications for this game, why potentially it is such a massive wasted opportunity. You could say that about the last 2 months of the Oakland Roots season, but it was Oakland Roots 0, Las Vegas Lights 0 on the road in Las Vegas on short rest. It was a game that the Oakland Roots needed to at least get a point, and then they got that point. I don't judge them too harshly. When it comes to, it was 108 degrees. I think by game finish time, it was 103. They shouldn't be playing in those temperatures. So there was a lot of little tiny mental mistakes or the ball being kicked out of play, specifically a lot of King and Tingy. I think John was talking about we're starting a new drinking game whenever he kicks the ball out of play randomly for no reason. Take a shot. If you don't want to drink, that's totally fine. Just fun little Oakland Roots depression games that we got going on here. But let's talk about on the field. Like I said, I don't judge them too. I'm not going to go too big into hammering of this guy had a bad pass or the tactics here weren't great. It was 108 degrees. That's insane to me. I'm fine that luckily no one was hurt and it kind of worked out, but playing in those temperatures, I think I was talking to someone at Cal Media Day where at the World Cup that they had the Qatar team. Keep in mind, Qatar in the middle of the Middle East. It's hot. They had to prep for their games at Levi's Stadium and in America because they never had played in noon heat because they play all their games at night because it's so hot there. But they just don't play at that temperature because they don't do that. It's very similar to, and let me say this, outdoor baseball stadium in Las Vegas. Good job. That will do it, athletics. That's the play. But let's get back to things that matter and actually are in the Bay Area. The Oakland Roots, they are fighting for their lives, trying to make the playoffs. 2 months ago, we were talking about a home playoff game. That has changed, though, to keep in mind, I'll bring it up here in a second. When it comes to the Western Conference, a home playoff game is still just 5 points away. If you had beaten Las Vegas Lights, if you had, beaten Sacramento, if you had beaten who you needed to beat, if you had beaten the Pittsburgh Riverhounds on the road where they are not very good, the team that lost to Sporting Jacks, the only team that's lost to Sporting Jacks. And this is when I tell you, that overall I'm pleased. You take the point. It's better than no points, because I'd be a little bit more upset if it was 0 points. You take the 1 point if you're the Roots. Talking behind the scenes, right now it's all about trying to figure out the medium with Tommy McCabe being out. We don't have a timetable yet on Tommy McCabe. He did Ryan Martin, when we talked to him after the Pittsburgh Riverhounds game, it looks like Tommy McCabe is dealing with concussion-like symptoms, as much like we're dealing with Kyle Shanahan with the 49ers. You don't mess with brain injuries. They're going to wait. Even as much as Ryan Martin probably wants Tommy McCabe, he wants his second brain on the field at all times. They're probably going to play it safe and slow. The West is not lost yet. What I mean by that is a playoff spot. Whoever does well in the last 10 games of the season is getting a home playoff game. It's as simple as that. There's no team, even outside of probably Monterey Bay, who is immune from potential of a home playoff spot in the Western Conference. That's how packed it is right now. And if you're not named Orange County, which the Roots will see in a few weeks, and that's lovely, and they're really starting to hit their stride. If you're not named Orange County or possibly New Mexico seems to be the trendy second place team, you're in it. You still have a chance. I think this roster that the Roots have right now is what they're going to be moving with forward, and you're going to have to make this hodgepodge of good talent work. And I guess I want to start. Let me see if I can bring up. Whoop. Let me bring up. Let's see here. Let's just bring up the standings. Let's just hit the standings up first. So, the Oakland Roots have two things against them right now. The first thing, there's only 11 games for the Oakland Roots this season left. There is a total of 33 points, which is very doable. That's a lot of points. Like I said, last year's playoff, 8th place made it with 37 points. The Roots are currently only 15 points, so if they win 5 games, they should be a playoff team. But keep in mind that the Roots have had now 1 point in the last 47 games. The last team they beat was the Phoenix Rising. Conveniently, the team below them in the standings, who is also struggling as much as the Roots. The teams in the last couple of months that the Roots have beaten, they've beaten the Las Vegas Lights in a Prinks Tires Timu Cup game that did not matter, that neither team cared about. I guess that counts. They beat Phoenix Rising. And past that, it's not looking good. Let me see if I can bring up the standings here. Look at some good old-fashioned Bruno. We will talk about Bruno later. I had to get that joke away. I know. I'll try and only use it once a week. But going all the way back to let's do some digging here, ladies and gentlemen. So currently, luckily for the Roots, El Paso qualifies as a playoff team. El Paso currently is between New Mexico in their first game of the season, which clearly they were not ready, and El Paso, who is looking not like a playoff team currently. They are in 8th place. You will have to knock them out of the playoffs if the Roots want to be a playoff team. You could argue that the Roots have not beaten a playoff team yet this season. And that's pretty damning. Yes, there was the tie against the Rowdies, which still looks really, really good. There was early contests against Um, really no one. The more I'm looking at it, the Roots beat bad teams, and that's about it. And that may just mean that the Roots are a bad team. Specifically, an example I want to give you from last night's game that told me everything I needed to hear, which was a hot mic situation after the game where I believe the Las Vegas head coach just yelled after the game, because it was clear to me, and especially I'll get into the actual game last night, a little bit of the details, but Las Vegas must be pissed this morning that they're going to circle that game. Like, and how does it feel that other teams are seeing you as winnable games, that they're pissed that they didn't beat the Oakland Roots? That's pretty damning to me. That's pretty damning that other teams in the league have circled the Roots as, we have to win this game. It's unacceptable we don't win this game. And especially Las Vegas at home. They've been playing relatively well recently, and Las Vegas is heading in the right direction. But if the Oakland Roots are going to make the playoffs, Las Vegas Lights ain't making the playoffs. Monterey Bay's not making the playoffs. Phoenix Rising's probably not making the playoffs if the Roots are making the playoffs. And I still believe that this team is a playoff team. This team has so much talent. They just added another key piece, and I guess that will be a solid transition. Let me see if I can bring up here real quick the Oakland Roots. Oh, snap. Mike Krukow just announced his last year in the booth. Wow. Sorry. I just came across my Twitter. That's a shame, but what an absolute legend in the Bay Area. Truly, truly. Wow, that's a shame. Let me grab where here he is. Here we have the newest player for the Oakland Roots, as away from a Western Conference team, FC Tulsa. It is Bruno Lapa. Lapa had a stunning 2024 season before heading off to Korea, I believe, where he did not perform very well in Korea. Maybe it was just the culture or the competition level, but he struggled heavily when it came to. But this is a attacking midfielder who can play both the wings, can play in the central midfield. He is known. You will not be surprised if you know what Ryan Martin values. He is known to be passing first. He's all about passing. I'll bring up some of his FOTMOB statistics compared to the rest of the USL this season. You will see that a lot of the stats don't look good. A lot of this move is in my opinion, a chain of scenery. John, I think it was Morosi, was talking about on Blue Sky about the talent is there. The player is there. The chaos. And I was also talking with the FC Tulsa Reddit subreddit, and they feel that he has talent. He just does not fit. Absolutely. It was just a complete miscast by FC Tulsa this offseason of if he would fit with that Tulsa chaos incarnate scheme. He's much more controlled, much more of a Ryan Martin style of player. And he's kind of that up top position that they've been really needing, when especially there's been a disconnect between Tommy McCabe and getting the ball up the field. That's why the Roots have kind of defaulted to the Gavin Glinton ball of, we're going to keep passing to ourselves, and I guess we won't lose the game, but we won't really win the game, and trying deep shots down the field. That never worked for Gavin Glinton. It will not work for Ryan Martin. So this is a clear mission of, hey, we have to do something different. The worrying sign is the thought of this team's strengths was attacking coming into the season. Does this mean that Bertrand Jacquesson that Faisal Batash, that Florian Vallot, that Tucker Lepley? Is this an admission of faults, or like not faults, but a admission of failure by some of those players to meet the moment, to meet the expectations? Because would I argue that any of those players are starters on this team next season? Probably not. I think that is the glaring weakness of this team right now, is a lot of the free agent signings and a lot of the old veteran retreads of bringing in people that Ryan Martin knows, or people that look like they have potential, have just not materialized. And the question is, will a late 20s attacking forward be able to revitalize what he was able to do at I think is it FC Memphis? Let me double check here. It was Memphis 901 FC. A classic name. R.I.P. Memphis. But let me scroll a little bit down to his stats. In 2024, he had 32 starts out of 33 games for Memphis. He had 11 goals and 5 assists. He was one of the top offensive juggernauts. And when I mean juggernauts, I mean just creating like full-on movement, becoming the offensive engine for a more forward-based group compared to what the Roots currently have with Tommy McCabe, who is injured right now. That's why this period is so important to figure out, hey, was it good or bad? Was Tommy doing everything? Or can some other people step up? That's the question. When his passing, all of these statistics were fantastic. Then you look at possession. He is not I'm taking the ball, I go up the field. He is very much more you pass me the ball, I instantly pass it to the guy making the overrun. He finds the open lanes. He's more of a facilitator, kind of what they were looking for, or what Wolfgang Prentice was doing for most of the season. I was looking at a lot of the heat maps for Wolfgang Prentice compared to Bruno Lapa, and they look almost identical, except for Bruno as much more willing to migrate himself and kind of merge into the middle of the field, while Wolfgang is basically just only on the wing, even if they're playing the same position, the heat map, which I think is probably what the Oakland Roots need. There seems to be a massive hole past the midfield line, be it that Bobosi is not stepping up into that position, or if Florian Vallot has just lost too much of a step, and to be fair, okay, he has lost a. Florian Vallot is such a weird case where I see the value. I'm worried about next season, depending on what his contract was. Like, you can expect Tommy McCabe is probably going to be here next season. You can fully expect a couple, like, free agents usually sign a 1-for-1, but with Florian, the question is he a starter level player? And I think he could be. I just don't know if he still has the ability up top. I think if you dropped him back to more of where Tommy McCabe is potentially a more interesting option. Though, to keep in mind, Ryan Martin did not do this. He went with Faisal Batash in the Tommy McCabe role, which is a very interesting wrinkle, because Faisal Batash has kind of been the catch-all for the Oakland Roots. It's like, oh, we need someone on the right side for to work with Tucker Lepley on these overruns. Faisal Batash. Oh, we need someone in the middle to kind of situate when we take Bobosi out. Oh, let's bring in Faisal Batash. And it's like, oh, we need someone to take an absolute a banger shot up top. I face El Batash, but is he a starter? Kind of. Maybe for a bottom 4 team in the West. maybe they are. And the thing with the Oakland Roots is let me show you guys Bruno's this year statistics. So this is the exact same data, but for this season. What do you notice? The man that this is the biggest tell for me. Accurate long passes is just sweet nothings into Ryan Martin's ear. When it comes to what he looks for in a player. He loves possession. He loves being able to maximize his game plan onto an opponent. And the question is it working? And I think there is some merit to the system. I just don't know if it feels like very much similar to maybe the San Francisco Giants of this first year could turn into a wash. I would really like it to be a playoff wash. Like even if you make the 8th seed and go down to Orange County and get bopped by a bunch of like international 17-year-old superstars that Orange County just falls out of their pockets. There's like, oh, here's another kid. We're going to sell him to Europe. And it's like, okay. I would really, I think for the fans' sake and also for growing momentum, the Roots really need to make the playoffs. Like, Benny Feilhaber last year was run out of town because he didn't make the playoffs. And as of right now, Benny Feilhaber and Ryan Martin have both played the same amount of USL games. Do you know what the records are? They're identical. 5 wins, 7 draws, and 7 losses. Both of them have identical 19-game sample sizes. That is a conversation for another video. But I do want to shout out, let me see if I can bring up the actual game. Let me get myself a little tiny here. Kendall McIntosh was saved the Roots. Someone owes Kendall McIntosh a beer for that performance. Kendall was an absolute Spider-Man out there, absolute wall. Him and I'll say it also, Nabil Hackshaw on a couple of plays saved the Roots a point. The Oakland Roots, Kendall feels like he is starting to win this competition. You can still argue, hey, they haven't won a game in 47 days. But this was either way, clean sheet is a clean sheet. Did they get lucky that the Las Vegas Lights are not a better team? Yes, because a better team would have scored at least 2 goals against Kendall last night. But Kendall put every ounce of himself in there to get a point, and that is incredibly admirable from your goalkeeper. And I'm excited to see what he can do. I'm excited to see, hopefully, I would love, it's not probably going to happen, but Kendall to start a playoff home game in the Coliseum in the last game in the Coliseum's history feels right to me. That should happen, but fairy tales don't always go as planned. I really loved what I saw from Kendall. I really loved what I saw from Hackshaw. Other things to keep in mind. Let me scroll down here a little bit. Jesus De Vicente did not start this game. They started Julian Bravo on the left side. It was still their normal 4-4-2, but Bravo got the start on the left side. Bravo had been more of a center back recently with replacing Nabil Hackshaw right next to Edwards. Very interesting that they didn't start Jesus De Vicente. This could just be De Vicente got a little nick during practice or something. They didn't want to have him out there for a full 90 minutes. But Julian Bravo has also been this could have just been a shakeup because Julian Bravo has been very good on that left side. To be fair, both of them have just creating opportunities that usually die with some sort of Florian Vlo displacement, but that's okay. It happens sometimes. And the other things to keep in line with this this lineup is Bertrand Jacquesson got the start on the right side. I don't need to see any more Bertrand Jacquesson. He consistently is just kind of heads of his skeets, like his skis. And the ball just kind of goes over there to die. And that could just be that there's an issue on the pairing of Keegan Tingey and whoever they put on that right wing side. Tingey has been funky, I would say, the last few weeks. I haven't been overly impressed with his overall level of play. That could be that they're just holding him out to dry out there a little bit, but he did leave this game with appeared to be about 20 minutes before he left the game. It looked like he kind of did a switch kick or kind of slightly pulled his groin, and then it looked like he fully pulled. And this is me just medically doctoring on the internet, as you do. But it'll be very interesting to see who starts at right back and to see if that right wing is a little bit different. We haven't heard anything on the status yet of Mark Fisher, besides about 2 months ago. He was about 2 weeks away, so what does that tell you? But on players that we did get to see that I'm very, very excited to see, we had since the first game since April 26th, David Garcia, superstar defender. I know that's me hyping him up too much, but he was able to get 10 minutes at the end of this game, and he made an absolutely critical game-saving block in the penalty box. I am a massive David Garcia fan. I think him and Michael Edwards, I think, share up their own defaults very, very well while having the ability to both lead. I'm excited to see if it was just, hey, David Garcia is part of the engine that they need in this back, which is a little worrying that one center back could be the thing that makes or breaks this team, but that's besides the point. He got in the game, really, really liked what I saw. Tucker Lepley is a good player. Tucker Lepley is a very, very good player. He is an MLS level talent. But I think you have to build a roster around him, which means he may just be a USL Championship level player on a team that gets built around him. Because I like the talent. I would like if they started playing, if against El Paso, which we'll get to here shortly, if Tucker Lepley was the 6 or playing back a little bit. I think it could help a lot because it feels like he's kind of being bullied on the outside, and is not being maximized to his best utility. And I think the bringing in of Bruno is a very obvious, well, some of these guys have failed. And that could be on the Roots. That could be on the players themselves. But overall, I'm intrigued to see Ryan Martin's adjustments because he's been a little slow when it comes to, let me see. Ryan Martin has been a little stubborn, I would say, to make changes to his ideal systems, be it with Tommy McCabe or with Florian or potentially with Tingey. And I want to see what he does in the next couple weeks, especially against Monterey Bay. Let's transition here to so before we get to El Paso, I want to show you guys something here. Okay. So this is the remainder of the Oakland Roots season. there is 11 games remaining. Let's go through how many playoff teams currently that the Oakland Roots will have to face. El Paso, 8th place in the West. That's a playoff team. That's one. Monterey Bay, not a playoff team. San Antonio, 2nd in the West. That's 2. Orange County, 1st in the West. That's 3. Lexington, that's 4. Indy 11, the last remaining Eastern Conference team that you play this year, I believe at least. Playoff team. Phoenix Rising, not a playoff team. Colorado Springs Switchbacks, they're a playoff team. San Antonio, that's a playoff team. FC Tulsa, that's a playoff team. Sacramento Republics at Sacramento, potentially for the Roots playoff dreams. That's 9 teams out of the remaining 11 games. That's brutal. And yes, will teams like El Paso and hopefully teams like Colorado Springs be below the playoff line, causing the Roots to become playoff teams? Hopefully, at least if you're a Roots fan. But that's a tough task. That's a lot of tough teams. And keep in mind that the Oakland Roots right now, out of that entire schedule, the only team that they have beaten is El Paso that play this Saturday. So let's bring up El Paso here. As you see on the right side of your screen, El Paso is one of the few teams somehow that has given up more goals per game than the Oakland Roots. And you may be asking yourself, how is that physically possible? The Oakland Roots are the leakiest Spiegel of all Spiegels. And I'd be like, yes, well, El Paso's even worse. El Paso has been just a full-blown train wreck when it comes to their defense, but they also score a lot of goals. So this game could have a lot of chaos to it, but it's chaos that the Roots have to control. When it comes to this team as a whole, El Paso has to be gettable. El Paso has to be a win. Because if El Paso isn't a win, let's see if I can bring up some standings here. Oh, sorry, El Paso's 7th in the West. But this is a true 6-pointer. Where if you lose, El Paso instantly jumps up to 3rd place in the West. And they're gone. You're never catching them again. But if you beat them, then you're tied, and maybe you're in a playoff spot. And maybe the Oakland Roots can keep pushing forward. Currently, the Oakland Roots, the other thing that is battling against the Roots, and you can see, I talked about this a little bit on the last episode. New Mexico, who is ahead of you by 5 points, keep that in mind, has 4 more games to play than you. That's really bad. There's a lot of teams of hypothetical points that you're going to need teams to either do a whole bunch of USL messing up or a lot of praying. Because right now, the Roots currently sit at a -3 goal differential, and they're just not scoring goals. They're a team that is consistent. I think Peter Wilson, I think, interestingly enough, let me double check that I'm not completely lying to you. But Peter Wilson, I don't think has scored a goal since that Phoenix game. Let me see if I'm not lying to you. He got the one versus New Mexico. Okay. So it's been about 35 days since Peter Wilson scored a goal. And yes, teams are, I'm not blaming any of this on Peter Wilson's by far the least amount of this issues for this team. But Peter Wilson's only 1 goal, I believe, out of the Golden Boot race. This is the time where that's got to ramp up. That's got to ramp for the future. But I've been Daniel Poulter. If you've made it this far and you're a true sicko and a true fan of the Oakland Roots, I appreciate you so much. Make sure to like, subscribe, comment below, see what you want to see for the content. What other Baylor sports or anything do you want to see? Because I want to hear from you guys. We'll talk next week, everyone, after the El Paso game. We'll see what happens. But this has been Daniel Poulter. See you next week.